So I recently helped somebody diagnose a no crank, no start over the phone, and there were some things that they didn't realize or know. So I just kind of wanted to go over the basics of a starting circuit and trying to figure out, what's going on, because they thought it was ignition switch, and it wasn't. So I just wanted to show you real quickly basically how this works. So you got your starter motor, starter solenoid. Now you've got two big terminals here. And then one small terminal, and that's almost all starters. So the big terminal is going to be the battery cable coming straight from your battery. It's going to be the bigger red cable going to this one. And then you got this smaller one here. That's going to be coming from when you go to crank it from your ignition switch. It'll send power to this one. The starter's grounded through the block, and it grounds your starter solenoid through the block. So when you go to crank it, it'll send battery voltage through. It's going to be a real small wire coming off this one. It's going to send power straight to this one. The ground's already here from your engine block. And what that'll do is your starter solenoid is basically a big relay. So if you know how a relay works, then that's exactly how this works. When you get battery power sent to the small one, it'll flip a switch inside here, and it will make this terminal touch this terminal inside the starter solenoid. And since you have your power wire here, that'll put power to that terminal. Power comes out, goes to your starter motor. That's what cranks it. It's grounded through the block. So basically, if you have a no crank, no start, an easy way to check is you're going to put your multimeter on this one and see if when you crank it, if you're getting battery power here. If you are getting battery power here, then you can already just determine that it's not your ignition switch, it's not your relay, it's not a fuse or something like that. Also, that also tells you that the security system's not causing it not to start, stuff like that, not to crank. Because if it was any of those, it wouldn't send battery voltage there. But if you're getting battery voltage here and you're still getting just a click or no crank at all or anything, when that happens, you could check this one and see if you got battery voltage coming out there. But basically, it's either going to be the starter solenoid, the starter, or the engine's locked up. So at that point, or you could have a connection from your battery to this one. So one quick check you can do is just jump from here to here, and if it cranks, then your starter solenoid's good. But that also tells you that your connections are good to your battery, because if your battery connection was bad, it wouldn't crank when you jumped it there. So if you're getting battery voltage here and you're still not cranking, you need to determine if you can turn the motor over, because in rare cases, but it does happen, if your motor's locked up, you're going to have the same exact symptom. So you just put hand crank your motor over with a ratchet and make sure that the motor's freed up. If your motor's freed up, then you got if you jumped across here and it cranked it, then you have a bad starter solenoid. If you jumped it across here and it still didn't crank, then the starter motor's bad. Either way, it doesn't really matter. Just replace the whole starter with a new solenoid. If you don't have power here when you go to crank it, then you're going to need to pull up a wiring diagram and find out, go to your starter relay and start checking things there. Make sure the security light's not causing it to no crank. And you could have, other things like your transmission range sensor or ignition switch, starter relay, or something like that, fuse. That would be a different topic for a different time. All right, so let's hook this up just like I told you. We got a battery power here coming straight from the battery. Okay, then we're going to have the engine block ground right here, and then I just got my power probe hooked up to it so I can supply voltage to the small. That's going to be the small. Let me turn that off. To the small terminal. When you go to crank it, it's going to supply battery voltage there. Turn the starter on. If it doesn't, and you want to jump it, then you're going to touch the voltage to that other one, and you can see how it kicks it on. That's bypassing this relay, the starter solenoid, because you're doing the work that would be doing when you apply voltage there. So if you had a bad connection at the battery, let's pull that off. Let's say you had a bad connection at the battery or at that terminal. When you jump it, nothing's going to happen. So that then you could make sure you check there that you have the bad, that you have a good connection. And obviously you want to make sure your battery's fully charged. And sometimes, if you're on the road, broke down or something, and you just need to get it started, you can, all these starters come and say, do not strike with hammer. But if you just tap on this, sometimes you can get it started. And if that doesn't work, you can always try jumping the terminals with the key on the run position, and you can get it cranked up at least to get it, drive it home or wherever you need to drive it to get the starter replaced.